What would you honestly do if you woke up tomorrow and saw $50 million sitting in your bank account? I mean, really think about it for a second. Would you splurge on a dream mansion with a pool shaped like a guitar? Would you fly to Paris on a private jet just to sip champagne at the top of the Eiffel Tower? Would you finally buy your parents that little lake house they've always talked about? Or would you just smile to yourself and think, wow, I've made it? Most of us can only dream of a number like that. It's the kind of money that seems like it belongs in someone else's story, not ours. But that's what makes this story so special. Because when country music star Jelly Roll decided what to do with his fortune, it wasn't about flashy cars or red carpets or yachts. No. It was about something bigger. Something that came straight from his heart. You've probably already seen the headlines. Jelly Roll donates $50 million to Texas. It's everywhere. Social media's buzzing, news anchors can't stop saying his name. People are calling him a hero, a role model. And of course, some people are questioning it. Is it real? Is it just a publicity stunt? Why would anyone give away that much money? Well, today, I'm going to tell you the full story. The real story. And by the end of it, you might just see Jelly Roll in a whole new light. Let's start with the man himself. If you know Jelly Roll, you know he's not your typical celebrity. He doesn't hide where he came from. In fact, he talks about it all the time, growing up in a rough part of town, sleeping in a house where the electricity would get shut off, watching his mom cry late at night because there wasn't enough to put on the table. He made mistakes, big ones, and he's not afraid to admit it. That's what people love about him. He's real. Honest. He wears his scars like badges of honor, and he never lets anyone forget that he used to be just like us, someone who felt invisible. Someone who never thought he'd make it out. Fast forward to now, and he's one of the biggest names in country music. Sold out arenas. Millions of fans. Songs that have topped charts and won awards. He has everything he used to dream about when he was sitting on that old couch in his mom's living room. But success didn't make him forget. It made him remember even more. Earlier this year, Jelly Roll was on tour. If you follow him online, you probably saw the videos, thousands of fans singing along, waving their phones like stars, crying when he played their favorite song. The energy was electric. Every night was another city, another show, another crowd chanting his name. But what you didn't see, was what he was doing in between those shows. You see, Jelly Roll didn't just show up to Texas to sing. He showed up to listen. He started visiting neighborhoods you won't find on tourist maps. Places still recovering from devastating storms. Towns where kids go to bed hungry, where families sleep in their cars because they have nowhere else to go. And then one night, after a show, something happened that changed everything. It was late, and most of the fans had already gone home. But a young woman stayed behind, waiting for her chance to meet him. She was nervous, quiet, clutching a folded-up piece of paper. And when it was finally her turn, she told him her story. She was a single mom of 2. She worked 2 jobs, but still couldn't afford rent. They'd been living out of her car for months. She told him she'd saved up just enough to buy tickets to his concert, because she needed a reason to keep going. And that night, she said, was the first time she'd smiled in weeks. Jelly Roll hugged her. He didn't just shake her hand or snap a picture, he really hugged her. And when he got back on his bus later, he couldn't get her story out of his head. He thought about his own mom. About how hard she worked. About the nights she cried when nobody was watching. And he remembered making a promise to himself when he was just a kid, that if he ever made it, if he ever had the chance to help someone else's mom, he would. So he decided it was time to keep that promise. The next morning, he sat down with his team and asked a question that would change everything. What would it really take to make a difference? Not just for her, but for people like her. For the whole community. They started crunching numbers. Looking at what it would cost to fund shelters, stock food banks, keep clinics open, rebuild houses destroyed by floods. And when they added it all up, the number was $50 million. And Jelly Roll didn't even flinch. He just said, "Let's do it." Now here's where things get really interesting. Because it would have been easy, so easy, for him to just write a big check and walk away. To let someone else figure it out. But that's not who he is. He didn't just hand over the money and move on. He got involved. He met with the people running the shelters, the clinics, the food banks. He sat in their offices, asked questions, listened to their stories. He didn't want the money to just sit in some account somewhere. He wanted to make sure it actually helped people. He made a plan. Part of the money went to rebuilding homes for families who lost everything in the storms. Part went to stocking food banks that were down to their last few boxes of canned goods. Part went to hiring more staff at mental health clinics that had been overwhelmed for years. He even set up a scholarship fund for kids who grew up in foster care. Because, as he said, every kid deserves a shot, no matter where they started. And then there was the part almost nobody knew about, until now. He funded mobile mental health clinics. Not just a quick idea or a vague promise, but fully equipped vans, custom-built to handle real care. These vans are designed to travel into the most remote, forgotten corners of Texas, the kinds of little towns you don't see on a map, where the roads are dusty and cracked, where the nearest hospital might be 50 or 60 miles away. Some of these towns don't even have a general doctor, let alone a therapist. People there have grown up without access to even basic mental health support. Many of them have lived their whole lives believing they just had to tough it out alone. No one ever came to ask if they were okay. No one even thought to try. But Jelly Roll thought of them. He thought of the kids growing up in those places who feel invisible. He thought of the veterans struggling with trauma who can't afford to drive hours into the city to get help. He thought of the single moms, the elderly, the quiet people who keep their pain to themselves because there's nobody around to listen. And he made sure these vans would show up right in their neighborhoods. Parked outside the local grocery store or in front of a school, easy to find, easy to walk into, no judgment, no questions asked. The vans aren't just about handing out pamphlets or offering quick advice either. They're staffed with real licensed counselors and therapists, trained to deal with depression, anxiety, addiction, and trauma. They carry everything they need to create a safe, private space for someone to open up. Each van even has a small waiting area, a private counseling room, and a stocked cabinet of free resources for anyone who walks in. It's hard to explain just how rare, and powerful, that kind of help is in these rural places. In some areas, the mobile clinic might be the first time a resident has ever even seen a therapist face-to-face. For some of them, it might be the first time anyone has looked them in the eye and said, "It's okay to talk about it. You don't have to go through this alone." But of course, as soon as the story hit the news, not everyone believed it. The internet started buzzing almost immediately. Tweets, comments, threads on forums. People saying it was all just another celebrity publicity stunt. That it was a way to get his name trending, to sell more records, to look good in front of the cameras. They called it fake. Performative. One user even posted, 50 million. Yeah, right. He probably wrote the check for the photo op and took it right back after. Others jumped in, adding their own skepticism. It's tax write-off season, one wrote. Another joked, funny how they all become saints when the cameras are on. Some went as far as questioning whether the clinics even existed, claiming it was just a story cooked up by his PR team. And you could almost feel how loud the cynicism got. People doubting the motives, tearing him down before they even gave him a chance. But those who were closest to the work. The volunteers on the ground, the people at the shelters, the folks running the food banks, they knew better. They'd seen him sitting in those offices, long after the cameras left, quietly asking what more he could do. They'd seen the check clear. They'd seen the vans roll into town, painted with his name in small letters on the door, and lines of people waiting to climb aboard for a little bit of hope. Because Jelly Roll didn't do it to impress the internet. He did it for the people who don't have a voice on the internet. The ones nobody ever bothers to notice. The ones he still feels connected to, because he used to be one of them. But those who were there. They tell a different story. After one of his shows, long after the lights went down and the fans went home, he stayed behind. Sat in a little office at a women's shelter with a few volunteers. No cameras. No reporters. And he told them, quietly, this isn't charity. This is personal. I've been where you are. I know how it feels. And you could tell he meant it. Even experts say the way he gave was smart. By spreading the money across multiple small, grassroots organizations, he made sure it reached more people. And by setting up oversight, he made sure none of it went to waste. That's what sets him apart. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? If you had $50 million, what would you do? Would you use it to change someone's life? Or maybe even a whole community? Take a moment and think about that. Really think about it. And if you feel like sharing, leave a comment. I'd love to know what you'd do. Stories like this are rare these days. We're so used to hearing about celebrities getting into trouble, or wasting their fortunes, or forgetting where they came from. But Jelly Roll. He's proof that there are still people out there who remember what it's like to struggle, and who never forget the promises they made to themselves when nobody was watching. If this story touched you, even just a little, stick around. Because we've got another one coming up, all about other celebrities quietly making a difference behind the scenes. And some of the names on that list will surprise you. And hey, if you liked this, do me a little favor. Hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs a little hope today. And if you're not already part of our family here, go ahead and subscribe. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how much you have. It's about what you do with it. And tonight, thanks to Jelly Roll, there are families all over Texas sleeping a little easier. Kids going to bed with full bellies. Moms crying tears of relief instead of worry. That's what real success looks like. Thanks for being here. And I'll see you in the next one.